The Civil War, or American Civil War, was a conflict in the history of the United States of America that took place between 1861 and 1865, where the two opposing sides were the forces of the Northern states, the Union, against the newly formed States Confederates of America, made up of 11 southern states that proclaimed their independence. Abraham Lincoln lost a senatorial race demanding a halt on the spread of slavery, but in 1860 he and Douglas clashed again, this time as the Republican and Democratic presidential candidates. By then, the tension between North and South was extreme.
The first act of war was the Confederate assault on the Fort Sumter garrison on April 12, 1861. The Army's repression after capturing Fort Sumter caused the Confederate States to be joined by Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina. This began the Civil War between the Confederate States of the South and the States of the North, which would end with the victory of the latter in 1865. In 1864, a Union army under General William II Sherman crossed Georgia. Meanwhile, General Grant fought relentlessly with Lee's force in Virginia. On April 2, 1865, Lee was forced to leave Richmond, the capital of the Confederates, and a week later it surrendered, and all other Confederate forces surrendered shortly after.
With these countless stories and legends of conquest of the Wild West behind, which took place in the 19th century during the expansion of the border of the United States of America towards the coast of the Pacific Ocean, stories of cowboys, pioneers, American nobles, campesinos, entrepreneurs, stories of people of various conditions who undertook the adventure of the West with the hope of achieving personal success, but who ended up not infrequently faced with justice or the fatality of destiny. The replicas of revolvers, rifles, pistols, and carbines bear witness to these stories and star in a literary and cinematographic journey through the adventures of sheriffs, outlaws, robberies of stagecoaches, or the station of the railroad to the west coast and the border with Mexico. Stories of cowboys on their ranches, or the legendary figure of Buffalo Bill.
More than 400,000 soldiers were captured during the Civil War. In the early years of the conflict, equal numbers of prisoners were exchanged, helping to keep the total number of prisoners low. However, in the next few years of the war, this practice disappeared. By the end of the war, the situation of the prisoners had become bleak. Thousands of Southerners died in the frozen camp in Elmira, New York, and in the camp in Andersonville, Georgia, that took the Northerners prisoner. The prison has become one of the most infamous in the history of warfare. Almost the same numbers of soldiers died in captivity during the Civil War as those who did when they fought in the Vietnam War. The largest military unit is the Army, which is divided into the smallest components. Although the organization of armies are varied, the largest subdivision of an army is the corps. Typically, the corps is divided in two or more divisions, each having two or more branches, and each branch composed of two or more regiments. Each regiment has the companies of 10 soldiers. Finally, the companies are subdivided into platoons. Sometimes armies are grouped into departments. that are defined by geography and operational objectives.